Hi, I'm Dan Small. Welcome to Deer Hunt Wisconsin 2015. This is the 24th annual special program aimed at bringing you up to date on deer management and deer hunting opportunities here in Wisconsin. I'm here at McMiller Sports Center in the southern unit of the Kettle Moraine State Forest. McMiller is owned by the Wisconsin Department of Natural Resources and leased and operated by Wern Valley Outdoors Incorporated. In the fall, it's open to the public Tuesday through Sunday for shooting rifles, pistols, shotguns, and muzzleloaders, and it also features a sporting clays course. McMiller is a popular place for shooting year-round and sighting in firearms just before the gun deer season. I'm sure you've seen the Welcome to Wisconsin signs that greet you as you cross the border from our neighboring states. Well, Wisconsin extends a special welcome to deer hunters, both resident and non-resident. And the Badger State offers some of the best deer hunting opportunities found anywhere in North America. In the next hour, we'll cover some of the basic information you'll need for a successful deer season this fall. Where will the hunt take you this year? Our goal in this program is to help you understand a few new regulations and provide a forecast that'll help you prepare for the upcoming gun deer season. You'll find most of the information you need in the 2015 Deer Hunting Regulations booklet, so be sure to pick one up when you buy your license and carry it with you to refer to during your hunt. Throughout the program, you'll see the phone number for the DNR call center on your screen. If you have questions, you can call this number 7 days a week from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m., or you can log on to dnr.wi.gov and search deer anytime, day or night. You can also go to the Apple Store or Google Play on your smartphone to download the free Wisconsin Pocket Ranger app, which has all the information in the regulations booklet and more features like GPS mapping, places to hunt on public land, and even a trophy case where you can share your photos instantly with a community of hunters. Learn more at the DNR website, keyword mobile apps. You've probably heard that there's a new way to register your deer this season that'll make the process easier and faster than ever before. Last fall, the DNR tested electronic registration by offering some Wisconsin deer hunters the opportunity to try the system.
We looked at other states around the country to see what they were using for electronic registration. We put together our own system, and before we offered it to all the deer hunters in the state, we threw it out there to about 14,000 hunters, and we allowed them to use electronic registration all of last fall through all of the deer seasons, and overall it worked really well. And then we asked them some questions and we tweaked it a little bit more so that we're ready to go this year. So once your deer is down and tagged, you have three options as to how to proceed. One is you can call it in, simply pick up the telephone and provide the information just like you do when you shot a turkey. The next option is that you can go on the internet, and it takes about 2 minutes. Just go through a quick list of questions and you're done. And number three, you could take it still to an in-person registration station. We're going to have as many of these set up around the state as we possibly can for those folks that still like to go to the traditional stations, see other deer and whatnot. But at that station, it's still going to be an electronic process. So that station is going to provide a computer for the internet or a phone that you can call it in. So the actual questions that you'll answer when you register that animal are very much the same as they've always been. You're going to need to provide your customer service number, and then you'll just go through a list of questions as to where you shot that deer, the date you shot it on, the deer management unit, the sex of the animal. So pretty much the same kind of information that you've always provided. So the final step in the process, once you are completely done registering that animal, you're going to get a 10-digit confirmation number. That confirmation number has to be written on the carcass tag. So instead of getting that old metal tag that you kept with your animal that said, "I have registered my deer," you're now going to keep that carcass tag with the confirmation number written on it. There are only a few requirements that folks need to remember when they're registering their animal. The first one is that registration is still mandatory, as it has been since the 1950s when we first started registering deer in Wisconsin. This is not a choice, and you want to stay within the law. It only takes you a couple of minutes. Get your deer registered. It is mandatory. The second thing that people need to remember is that they now have to register that animal by 5 p.m. the day after it was recovered and tagged. So this is a change to the old rules. During the archery season, you used to have 3 days, and during the gun season, you used to have until the Monday after the close of the season. So that is no longer the case, but the convenience of electronic registration is going to make that a piece of cake. And the third one is that you need to have your deer registered, no matter what method you're using, before you leave the deer management unit or an adjoining deer management unit.
You're a serious food plot creator, engineer, I guess you'd say. How'd you get into it?
Well, I've been doing it for about 16 years now. I'm a third-generation beef farmer. I've been on the farm here now since actually the farm was built in 1917, so I just kept on the legacy. Your fall plot planting is usually the first week of August, unless you get further up north. I mean, when I get up north, like we're in the northern part of Wisconsin, it's usually right around like Highway 8 up that way, usually right around the 4th of July, just because their growing season is short. You need at least a 40 to 60-day window before a killing frost if you want to get any amount of growth. I plant in spring. I'm not a big spring planter just because of the weed control is so hard. Deer are getting almost anything and everything they want to eat by browsing the grasses and alfalfa fields and bean fields. If you give them mineral, that's all they'll need is mineral. But in the fall time, that's usually when I plant, like I said, for August, because then right about September 15th, which is Wisconsin opening weekend at that time, everything should be pretty much plush and prime right for hunting.
With the new recent legislation in many states, especially here in Wisconsin, moving traditional slug gun areas over to rifle areas, I've been asked the question, why should I continue to use my slug gun versus a rifle? My answer is simple. Take the light field ammunition, for example. The technology that goes into this slug basically forces that slug to chamber to your barrel, creating consistent barrel pressures, consistent muzzle velocity, which equals consistent downrange accuracy. You have accuracy all the way out to 150 yards, absolutely no problem. The other thing is you may find yourself in a situation where you're under a little bit heavier cover, which again with a slug you don't have as much deflection as you would on a rifle bullet. So you combine this technology with the new modern day slug guns, you've got a winning combination. You've got better, harder hitting impact, and you enjoy greater success in the field.
You know, chronic wasting disease, or CWD, was discovered in Wisconsin back in 2002 in Dane County. And since then, the disease has spread to other parts of the state. Here's Aaron Larson with the DNR's Wildlife Health Team to give us an update on CWD and tell us how sampling will proceed now that we have electronic registration.
CWD sampling will still be available with the full implementation of electronic registration. First, a hunter must register their deer using the phone or internet or at a location that offers one of these options as in-person registration. For the 2015 season, there will be several locations throughout the state for CWD sampling, including in the Southern Farmland Zone, as well as Washburn, Adams, Juneau, Marathon, Portage, and Eau Claire counties around CWD-positive deer locations. Although the DNR is focusing CWD sampling stations in several portions of the state, you can get your deer tested from anywhere. The best way to do that is to contact your local biologist by going to our website at dnr.wi.gov, keyword contact. The hunter will still be asked for kill location information for disease surveillance purposes. So if this fall, if you choose to get your deer tested, you would bring it to a CWD sampling station. The majority of our stations will take the lymph nodes right out of the neck, keeping the carcass intact, allowing you to take the head and the carcass home. At that point, the samples will be brought to our processing center for preparation for testing. The testing will be done at the Wisconsin Veterinary Diagnostic Laboratory here in Madison. You'll get the results in about 2 to 3 weeks by mail or by going online, keyword CWD results. The hard thing about CWD is deer often don't show any signs when you're seeing them out on the landscape. The deer can have the disease for a year and a half, look perfectly healthy, but still be spreading that disease to other deer. By the time the deer start to show signs, they look pretty awful. They start to have a lowered head. Excessive thirst could be seen, usually very thin, pretty much wasting away, so it's pretty awful to see. But a lot of the deer out there might not be showing any signs, but still have CWD. We do see the prevalence rates higher in adult bucks and also higher in adults than in juveniles. One of the thoughts with that is that adult bucks are often interacting with more deer than adult does do, with things such as scrapes or licks, as well as moving around and having larger home ranges than juvenile deer. In some places in Iowa County, the adult buck prevalence rate of CWD is upwards of 40%. In many other areas of the state, it is much lower than that, but we are seeing the disease move into new areas of the state, including Adams, Juneau, Marathon, and Portage counties. We are focusing CWD sampling in several portions of the state where we would like to learn more about the disease. Some of these are around new CWD positive deer locations in Marathon and Portage County. We are also still continuing to keep the tabs up in Washburn County as well as the southern farmland zone. This ongoing testing allows us to monitor the disease and track how it's spreading. So we now have 38 CWD affected counties. So before you go hunting this fall, it would be great to double check on our website to see if your county that you're hunting in is one of the CWD affected counties. You need to know that there are baiting and feeding restrictions in these counties as well as carcass movement restrictions.
The County Deer Advisory Councils have now completed their first year as partners in deer management with the DNR. Each county has a Deer Advisory Council to provide input and recommendations for deer management. Each council is supported by a DNR wildlife biologist, forester, and law enforcement officer. And each council also has representatives from stakeholder groups, including tourism, agriculture, landowners in the Deer Management Assistance Program, transportation, sporting groups, forestry, and urban deer issues. Regardless of which group they represent, many of the council members are also hunters, so they understand hunters' interests. These representatives are asked to gather information from their respective groups about deer management from the group's perspective. Then the council representatives convene at public meetings to discuss and set appropriate deer quota and antlerless permit levels for the deer season. County Deer Advisory Councils were established to provide a way for the public to have direct involvement in deer management, and the DNR hopes that you'll attend council meetings, provide input, or even serve on the council in your county.
The creation of the CDAC, the councils, I think has changed deer management in that it gives the public a real voice in the management of our herd that they might not have had before. This past fall, we first met to come up with some ideas on what we wanted to do with our local herd in Washburn County. We had three options: to either decrease the herd, maintain the herd, or increase the herd. We initially voted to maintain our herd in this county, but we did hear a lot of pushback, a lot of feedback from the public here that they wanted us to increase the herd. So at our subsequent final meeting to determine what we wanted to do, we did vote to increase our deer herd. As far as managers being more trustworthy, I think managers have always been trustworthy. They're professionals and they're department employees, but they're professional wildlife people, and they use science to a great degree, and I think that's very necessary. We need to keep science in our deer herd management. Hopefully this process, allowing the public to have more of a voice in it, will certainly change perceptions, and hopefully with education, people will realize that everybody's doing their best.
For more information, visit the DNR website and search keyword CDAC and explore the new CDAC webpage. Now that we know how antlerless permit levels were set this year, let's hear about permit availability for 2015.
There are two types of antlerless tags available this year, and we don't see that changing anytime soon. The first kind is the farmland zone antlerless tag. One of these tags is included with the purchase of an archer or crossbow license. One is also included with the purchase of a gun deer license. These tags are not weapon specific, however, hunters will need to specify which county and land type they will be used in. The second type is our bonus antlerless permit. These are the same permits that have been available to hunters for years, and this year they're available mostly in our farmland zones. In the forest zones, there are 12 buck-only units, so for most hunters, they will not be able to harvest an antlerless deer in these areas. The exceptions to this are active military personnel, disabled hunters, and youth hunters. Bonus permits went on sale in August. If you're still interested in purchasing one, check our website for availability. Tags may be purchased at a rate of 1 per person per day until sold out. There are a few things you need to know to make your permit purchase go quickly and smoothly. First, you need to know your zone. There are 4 deer hunting zones throughout the state. Next, you need to know the county you'll be hunting in. Bonus permits are available in some, but not all counties. And finally, you'll need to know the land type you'll be hunting. bonus antlerless permits may not be available in both public and private access lands. For the purpose of purchasing and using antlerless deer permits, public land is defined as any federal, county, state, and municipal properties, managed forest law, forest crop law, and voluntary public access lands that are open for public deer hunting. All other lands are private, and the hunter must gain permission from the landowner before using these properties for deer hunting purposes. If you want to extend your hunting season well into January, you might consider hunting in a metro subunit. To do this, purchase a tag for the county that the metro subunit is located in. Follow the same guidelines as purchasing any other antlerless permit.
Wisconsin has more than 8 million acres of public land open to hunting in federal, state, and county forests and some state parks. Some private land is open to hunting as well, but if you're new to the state or new to hunting, how can you find a place to hunt in all this public land? Here's DNR Public Affairs Manager Sawyer Briel to tell us how to find public access land for deer hunting.
There are a number of great ways to find a place to hunt on public lands in Wisconsin, and the department has a bunch of resources for hunters who are looking to find this info. First being the Public Access Lands, or PAL Atlas, which can be found online or purchased with a hard copy. This can be found at dnr.wi.gov, keyword Atlas. Hunters can download single PDFs from online for free and print these, or they can buy a physical copy of the Atlas to take into the field with them. The Atlas contains over 440 maps, as well as contact information for all property managers. Lands included are all DNR public lands, as well as nearly all federal and county lands. Many of Wisconsin's state parks, trails, and forests provide additional opportunities for public hunting. But be sure to check with local park staff and your local wildlife biologist to learn more. While DNR's managed lands and state parks provide a great opportunity for public hunting, the managed forest law and forest crop law are also a great opportunity for both private landowners and hunters looking to find new places to hunt. The MFL, or Managed Forest Law program, provides a great opportunity for private landowners to both work closely with the DNR to manage their forests sustainably and provide opportunities for hunters to hunt on their land. But remember, only those MFL lands deemed open are available for public hunting this fall. Lands enrolled in the Forest Crop Law program are also available for public hunting this fall. To learn more about both of these programs, visit the department's website and search keywords Managed Forest Law. The Voluntary Public Access, or VPA program, is another great way to find a place to hunt this fall. This program offers financial incentives to private landowners who agree to open their land to public hunting. For those looking for opportunities closer to the city, many Dane County parks have agreements for managed archery hunting, as well as rural hunting in some areas around the city. It's never been easier to find a place to hunt in Wisconsin on public land. Remember to contact your local biologist or warden with any questions, and have a safe and successful hunt.
Well, you could really sneak up on deer in this thing, couldn't you?
Oh yeah.
I imagine you've done it.
I've had them 15 feet away.
More and more hunters are using UTVs these days to get in and out of the deer woods and to haul their gear to and from deer camp.
Hi, I'm Lon from Valley Snowmobile and Power Sports. Today we're going to discuss UTVs for hunting. Of course, as you heard, just drove up very quietly. This happens to be a full electric vehicle, 72 volt electric vehicle, very quiet. Over here we have a diesel machine, utility-wise, a very powerful machine. Of course, you can hear that it makes a little bit of noise. The difference on the electric is, of course, the range isn't going to be there. You are somewhat limited by your battery life, which is generally very good during the hunting season for a full day's hunt. Maneuverability of the smaller, a little bit narrower machine is very agile in the woods. The diesel, of course, is great for food plots, working, a lot of towing, carrying your seed, carrying your fertilizer. It's a workhorse. The electric is not as good of a workhorse, but it has extreme torque. Actually, the electric has more torque than the diesel has. And that's what gets you through the hills and the valleys and the water is the torque of this machine.
The Deer Management Assistance Program, or DMAP, celebrated its first anniversary this year.
In 2014, we accepted 114 applications and we're working with just over 300 landowners in the state. Since that time period closed, we've accepted another 250 applications, and the number of landowners we're currently working with is over 700 in the state. So there's been a lot of popularity in the program, and certainly an increase from the first year is always good to see. The total number of acres that we accepted in the first year was just under 44,000 acres. And surprisingly, even with the increase in applications, our total acreage for 2015 was just about the same, I think within maybe 50 acres of our total from 2014. Largely due to the fact that most of the applications we got for 2015 were from smaller landowners. If you recall, our level 1 landowners are 160 acres or less, and that was the biggest increase that we saw in applications this year. We talked to the DMAP cooperators from 2014, and based on their comments, the aspect of the program that they appreciated the most was the site visit. And the site visit includes getting a property tour with a wildlife biologist and a DNR forester. They'll walk the property, collect some information on the habitat that's available out there, also do an assessment on the level of browsing that is occurring from deer impacts, and then they'll use that information to write a management plan for you, the property owner.
I have 240 acres in Vilas County. The DMAP program has been incredibly helpful. I've learned so much from the program. I had this human vision of what a beautiful forest would be. I had this mature stand of trees, oaks, maples, pines that I thought were beautiful. I since realized that a deer lives from approximately this point down. From a deer standpoint, my forest was sterile. Fortunately for me, I enrolled in the DMAP program and I learned how to create shelter, I learned how to create food, I learned how to create an environment for the deer to thrive, and thankfully now my forest is a haven for the deer.
In 2015, we offered 4 workshops around the state for DMAP cooperators to participate in. We think that's a big attractant of this program and these workshops, is to be able to walk somebody's property with them, talk to them firsthand, learn from their experiences, and learn from the mistakes they've made. The other aspect of the workshop is more of an indoor session where we give presentations on managing invasive species or deer research and herd health updates. Part of the DMAP program is to get landowners talking to each other, and so one part of the program they might be interested in is the development of a group cooperative, working with your neighbors, talking about your land management philosophies, deer management philosophies, and getting everybody on the same page. People can sign up for DMAP at the DNR webpage and type in the keyword DMAP, and it'll take you to a page with a lot of information and a very easy way to sign up with a click of a button.
With the information we've covered so far, you should have a good idea of the changes in statewide hunting regulations and deer management. But let's face it, no one hunts the entire state. You probably have 1 or 2 areas where you and your friends will hunt this year. And I'm sure you want to know what to expect when you step into the woods on opening morning. So let's take a look at a forecast for this year's hunt for each of the state's 4 deer management zones.
In northern Wisconsin, winter still rules for managing the deer herd, and what happens the previous winter and even the winter before that will determine how your hunting season is for deer in northern Wisconsin. We need to dial back to what happened 2 years ago, 2013 and 14 winter. It was the most severe winter on record in northern Wisconsin, and deer were impacted by that. We saw deer that died from the winter, direct mortality, and also we saw fewer fawns born. That impacts what hunters will see this year because there'll be less yearling deer out there because those fawns were not born 2 years ago. The big irony in this year was our winter this last year. It was the complete opposite of the very severe winter of 2013-14. We had a very mild winter, and we had a very early spring green up. And that's all very, very important for deer production. Deer feed primarily on aspen leaves in northern Wisconsin and just all the other forage in the forest floor and into the grassy areas and the marshes. So the bottom line is the deer herd in northern Wisconsin is rebuilding. In addition to having really good fawn production this year, the bucks that survived this last winter will probably put on very good antler growth. Antler growth in deer is a function of a mild winter, good nutrition, and age. Now in northern Wisconsin, most of our units are buck only. Therefore, those fawns are not going to be able to be available for harvest because they do not have any legal size antlers if they're buck fawns. So we had really good survival this summer, so it should be an excellent year for deer hunting in northern Wisconsin.
The Central Forest Zone is made up of portions of 7 counties located right in the central part of the state. It's a forested area made up of public, private land ownership, and it's an area that I know that a lot of people like to hunt and recreate. Similar to northern forest, we've had a very mild winter this past year, and our previous 2 winters were pretty severe winters, which really impacted the deer herd, reduced the deer numbers. Over the last couple years, we had reduced the permit levels trying to increase that deer herd, and we've been successful in doing that in some areas, and I think that this fall we're going to be even more successful in doing that. Overall, we're seeing increased fawn production this past spring. We had a great early green up, which is really, really important for white-tailed deer, especially does, as they come out of winter and they have those fawns and they have those high nutrient levels to provide those fawns. And I think that hunters are going to also see nicer antlered animals as well in the bucks, with that green vegetation, that lush vegetation out there. A couple of things that we want to point out this fall for hunters within the Central Forest. First off, in Jackson County, in the forested portion of Jackson County, we will again have 0 antlerless permits available there. That's going to be a buck-only unit. The surrounding counties within the Central Forest will have antlerless permits available, but again, reduced from what we saw a couple of years ago. And again, the intent there is to bring that deer herd up by shooting less antlerless deer. Hunters in Eau Claire, Jackson, and Clark counties should be aware that this fall we do have a deer baiting and feeding ban in effect, and that was a result of finding a CWD positive deer on a deer farm in Eau Claire County. Any county within 10 miles of the location of that CWD positive animal will also have a deer baiting and feeding ban. So that will include Clark and Jackson counties. We now have elk on the landscape, which is very exciting. This past year we brought elk in from Kentucky. Elk are a protected species in Wisconsin, so hunters should be advised that they cannot harvest an elk. Make sure that if you're going to harvest an animal, it is in fact a white-tailed deer. Hunters in the Central Forest should focus their efforts on a couple of things. First off, we've got a fantastic acorn crop this year, both the white oak and red oak. The second thing that I think is overlooked but is occurring in the Central Forest is we have a fair amount of timber harvesting going on. And timber harvesting provides a fantastic opportunity for hunters to focus in their efforts on a great habitat area and also a great area for deer to use as escape cover. So find those areas, they're different to hunt, but learn how to hunt them and you'll have success.
I'm going to be giving you the deer hunting forecast for the central farmland, which stretches across Wisconsin from Lake Michigan all the way to the Mississippi River. You know, some of the most productive deer hunting landscapes in the country, are in central Wisconsin, and we've got a healthy deer population going into the fall of 2015. In most respects, we expect at least as good, if not better, in deer sightability, which means better deer hunting opportunities for 2015. Most of the counties have declared through their advisory councils to maintain their deer populations. Even a maintenance goal in these highly productive farmland counties means a need for a very liberal antlerless deer harvest. The exception to that is a small block of counties on the eastern part of our zone, Winnebago, Fond du Lac, Sheboygan County. They're looking at probably a similar deer harvest to 2014, and those counties have declared a goal to actually increase their deer population somewhat, and so they've backed off a little bit on antlerless tags. The same could be said on the western side of the state for Chippewa County. Trempealeau County is another county that has declared a goal of increasing their deer herd, and so backing off a little bit on additional antlerless tags. In a lot of the counties, the public land tags are already sold out, so opportunities to take additional antlerless deer are going to be primarily on the private properties. For those of you that have access to that land, great, and if you don't, the opportunity to communicate with landowners that very well may recognize that they've got more deer in their landscape than they'd like, and are willing to have a few additional antlerless deer taken. Those opportunities might be there for those that are willing to go out and knock on doors and communicate with their neighbors. So the main message in the central farmland is if you're in a spot, you're seeing deer, you're comfortable with the deer population, you're going to be doing yourself, the deer herd, the landscape, and all the people that live in this area a favor by taking advantage of harvesting antlerless deer.
The southern farmland is made up of a wide variety of different habitat types, covering the coulee region in the west, all the way to the more populated urban areas on the east. All of this is dominated by an agricultural landscape. As a result of that agricultural landscape, there's a wide variety of food sources available for deer as well as other wildlife. Deer populations are looking really good across the majority of the district. We have great deer numbers generally, but keep in mind that it all takes good scouting to identify where deer are exactly located. Hunters also should be aware that throughout the entire southern farmland zone, CWD is prominent on the landscape. Hunters that are interested in having their animal tested can call any of their local DNR offices, and we can work with them to get that sample collected. We will be working with meat processors throughout the entire zone to collect a representative age sample of all deer that are harvested. We aren't looking for just the large bucks or the old does, but we're also looking for the young antlerless deer and specifically the fawns that are throughout the entire zone. If hunters are interested in donating any additional deer, they may participate in the venison donation program. Hunters interested in participating can check out our Wisconsin DNR website for more information on where they can specifically donate any additional deer and help out those needy individuals in their area. Throughout the southern farmland zone, the season structure is generally the same as what it was last year, except there will not be a holiday hunt available this year. So if you're headed out in the southern farmland zone, have a great hunt. There's a wide variety of different hunting opportunities on public and private land, and generally there's an abundance of deer throughout the entire zone.
Wisconsin hunters probably know the basics, but they might not know all the specifics of how hunters pay for conservation. In 1937, when Federal Premium Ammunition was a young company, only 15 years old, we, along with Remington, Winchester, and a lot of the other folks in the industry, got together and we helped dedicate the tax that we were paying on ammunition and firearms to go to a wildlife restoration account. Today, that account, 11% on guns and ammo, generates nearly $1 billion a year for wildlife conservation. That money goes out to the states and is used to pay for wildlife areas, hunter education, and all of the things that are the pinnacle of conservation and recreation in the United States. So when you think about the economic impact of hunting, it's direct. We pay those taxes, and those help pay for wildlife agencies. We also pay our license fees as hunters, and that helps fund those wildlife agencies as well. And those $2 are commingled and are protected because of the federal Pittman-Robertson Act. But then there's a lot of other economic impacts that we make as hunters that we sometimes don't do a good job of taking credit for. When you go into the store and you buy your ammunition and you buy your gun, you buy your clothes, you probably buy food. When you're going to your hunting area, you're buying propane for the heater, you're paying for gas to put into your car, you're buying snacks, you're buying groceries. And a lot of times you're buying those things in the places where you hunt, away from the city, in rural places in this country, whether it's Wisconsin, Minnesota, or anywhere in the U.S. And it's that distribution of economic activity to places that aren't doing as well as the suburbs and the cities that really is something that hunters should be proud of. We go out of the city to hunt. We go out of those tame places and get away from tall buildings to hunt. And those are the places in America that economically aren't doing as well. And hunting is one of those stabilizing factors that produces economic activity every year in those rural places. So as you can see, hunting works for Wisconsin.
It's no secret that hunter numbers are declining here in Wisconsin and nationwide. As the hunting population ages and some folks give up the sport, fewer new hunters are joining the hunting community. The DNR has several programs aimed at recruiting new hunters. One of these is the Learn to Hunt for Food program, which targets adults who want to know where their food comes from and want to procure some of it themselves. Here to tell us about that program and share a delicious venison recipe is John Motovilov. He's an editor for DNR and a cookbook author. He sure knows his way around the kitchen and the grill.
The basics of a marinade, for deer marinade or anything else, are basically 3 parts acidic liquid to 1 part basic liquid or oil. So here we go. Gonna get some wine going here. Now we're also gonna hit it with some oil. Now as you notice, this is a very light oil. This is actually a canola oil. So here we've probably got, I don't know, maybe an ounce or 2 of oil just to kind of keep things moist. Then we're gonna work on some garlic for the marinade here. So we're gonna break this apart. Going to take a couple of bulbs. These are big bulbs, so we'll probably use about 2. And while I'm talking here, it's probably a good segue to talk a little bit about a new program that we're running at DNR, and it's called Learn to Hunt for Food. This is a program that tries to recruit a new sort of class of hunter. We're just working with a group of people who really haven't had that opportunity to have hunting in their family, but they're interested in hunting. And they're interested in it from the point of view of local food. And of course, for the price of a hunting license and abiding by limits, you can pretty much get all you want. What we're doing is giving these people, the tools to go out and learn how to hunt on their own and get their own food. These are people who have really never had hunting in their background at all. In some sense, we're their hunting family, and we walk them through everything from scouting to basic biology to regulations, and then take them all the way through to a mentored hunt. It's a great time, and it's a really an exciting new development. So here, getting back to our venison, what I'm doing here is, so I put some garlic in. Going to put some dried thyme in. That's one of my go-to herbs for just about any game that you hunt. Put it in the marinade. We're going to hit the marinade with a bit of fresh ground black pepper here and some sea salt. I'm not going to go completely hog wild because I'm also going to salt and pepper the meat. We're going to pull here in front of us the very nicely cut venison backstrap, and we're going to salt and pepper that. And then we're going to let this sit in a cool area for, I don't know, an hour or so. And then we're going to put it on the grill and have a really terrific meal. With those venison steaks marinating, we're going to start working on some kebabs here. And then we'll begin to skewer our vegetables. Okay, we've got the last skewer threaded here. I'm going to hit it with some olive oil and some salt, and we're going to put it on the grill. Some sea salt, liberal with the salt, on the grill. We've got this grill preheated to medium, and we're going to cook these about 5 minutes per side. Now, one thing you really want to bear in mind about venison is that it's very delicate, has no fat, and you want to get it right on the grill, high, marinated, and quick. They've cooked 2 minutes on the first side, and cook them 2 minutes on the other side, and that'll mean that the kebabs have cooked about a total of 4 minutes on the second side, which should be just perfect. We'll give them another 2 minutes on that side, and then we're going to have some dinner. Okay, looks like these are done. I'm actually using my hands here. I've never been burnt. It also helps me get that feel for, okay, the venison is medium, the venison is well, the venison is rare, and they're all looking beautifully medium rare. Beautifully grilled vegetables. This was a very simple recipe, just red wine marinade and some kebabs. You could make it as complicated as you want or as simple as you want, and we sure wish you were here to enjoy it with us.
We'll post that recipe along with several others on our Facebook page. Just visit Facebook and search for Deer Hunt, Wisconsin. Now here's DNR Administrative Warden Matt O'Brien to recap the most important new rules for 2015.
The number of regulation changes for 2015 may be small in number, but not small in impact. The most notable change is the use of the e-registration system for all of Wisconsin hunters. Another regulation change for 2015 is the antlerless carcass land type designations. So what you need to do before you go out for the season, sit down, look at where you're going to hunt, and then look at all the tags that you have available to you. Make sure you have the proper land type, public or private, the proper zone, and the proper deer management unit available. If you're using public lands, anytime that your tree stand is unoccupied out on the property, you need to have your name and address or customer ID affixed to the bottom of that stand. Just remember that your stands can't be left up overnight. They've got to be packed out daily. And the last thing I'd just like to highlight is just as the department is connecting better with users through the use of e-registration, we want users to connect better with us using new technology as well. So you can now use the department's hotline tip system, 1-800-TIP-WDNR, to send in text messages of potential natural resource violations that you encounter in the field. So that's a great new tool if you're in an area where perhaps you can't talk or you don't have a lot of time to get into the details, where you can take a quick picture or just send us a quick text message and our folks can follow up on that, just the same as if you made a phone call. So 2015 should be a great year for you. Again, not a ton of regulation changes, but they are important. Take the time to look, and if you have any questions, feel free to contact our customer service center. Have a great hunt.
We all complain about little things that bother us now and then, like minor aches and pains. But until you meet someone who's up against a real challenge, you don't appreciate how good you've got it if you're able-bodied.
So Scott, what is your story?
I was working on the sewer, and I went on a national in Los Angeles. It was about 11 in the morning, and the car went through our barricades and hit me going 45 miles an hour. And I passed away at the scene. They took me in the ambulance and I straight lined again at the hospital. And they got me going again, and they put me in a coma for a couple weeks. Came out of it, and it was a rough go. And now I'm hunting here at Sandy Hill.
We're sure happy to have you here.
Thanks.
We got into the deer that you want yet, but we're getting closer. Oh, he's got a lot of mass. He's a beauty deer. Good shot.
Good shot. Good shot. Oh, there he is, down. He's down. He's down. Perfect shot. Oh my God. I'm shaking. I'm shaking. Oh, man.
My mom's starting to tear up.
Wow, what a rush. Wow.
So Scott, where kept you going? You have your family or just having strong support?
Yeah, I know for a reason I'm still here, because I see my son grow up, and
Look at that shot.
that's why I am. I know that's why I'm here.
We should like the rest of us take nothing for granted in life, get the most out of life. It's amazing when a person has strong support from the love from their family and friends.
Until recently, only hunters aged 65 or older, or those with certain disabilities, were allowed to hunt deer with a crossbow. But as of last year, crossbows are legal for any hunter to use during any deer season. A crossbow can be as accurate as a rifle at close range, but it's not a long-range weapon as some people think. Here's DNR research scientist Jessica Reese-Lohr to tell us how to get a crossbow permit and give us a recap of last year's crossbow season results.
The options for getting a crossbow permit in 2015 are the same as in 2014. We have either a specific crossbow license that hunters can purchase, or hunters can purchase their archery license. In addition, they can get a $3 upgrade, which allows them to use their archery equipment in addition to their crossbow equipment. Or people can purchase a conservation patron license, which allows them to use their crossbow and their archery equipment at the same time. If you combine all of these authorizations, the crossbow specific, the archery upgrade, and the conservation patron license, we had about 17% of our deer hunters in 2014 using a crossbow. That number represented about 113,000 deer hunters last year. The demographics for crossbow hunters last year were on average older than archery hunters. Typically they were about 52 years of age, whereas archery hunters were about 38 years of age. Another interesting fact is that of the crossbow specific license holders, 18% were women, which was the highest of all the weapon authority types. In 2014, Wisconsin crossbow hunters harvested about 9% of the total deer harvest. This was about 27,000 deer, and of that total, about 16,000 were bucks. In comparison, Wisconsin archers took 18% of the total deer harvest. That's about 55,000 deer, and of that total, 30,000 were bucks. The success rate for crossbow hunters that harvested at least one deer in 2014 was 30%. In comparison, archery hunters that harvested at least one deer had an overall success rate of 23%.
Whether you hunt deer with a crossbow, vertical bow, firearm, or muzzleloader, safety should always be foremost in your mind. Here's DNR Chief Warden Todd Schaller with advice on safety and a message for all deer hunters.
We've had a great tradition in Wisconsin. We've had several fatality-free seasons, and that's really about our hunters knowing and following those 4 rules of firearm safety. Treat every firearm as if it's loaded. Always point your muzzle in the safe direction. Be sure of your target and what lies beyond, and keep your finger off the trigger until you're ready or safe to fire. Another key part is tree stand safety, and some key things with that are whenever you're going up and down your stand, to make sure you maintain 3 points of contact. So that's 2 feet in one hand, 2 hands in 1 foot. Always wear a harness and be strapped to your tree. Full body harness is the best technique. Another role of the conservation warden is to make sure you know and follow the rules. We're there to provide assistance. In some cases, we're going to ask some questions and we may come across a violation, but we try to analyze why the violation occurred, and if appropriate, we may issue a citation, but that's really not our goal. The ultimate goal is to make sure people are compliant with our laws. Another part of the hunting season is that hunters oftentimes have interactions with other hunters, either on public land or on private land. And there's really no reason to get involved in a conflict. If you come across a violation, call the DNR hotline and let us respond to it. If it's involving a trespass situation, call the Sheriff's Department and they'll respond. Whatever the issue, whatever the topic, the hunting experience is not worth getting into a confrontation or any type of conflict. Deer hunting in the state of Wisconsin is a great tradition and a great experience, and we really hope people have a safe and enjoyable season.
Welcome to the Midwest Outdoor Heritage Education Expo here at the McKenzie Center. I'm happy to be here to encourage students to learn more about hunting, shooting, trapping, fishing, and conservation, and all of the wonderful things the great outdoors has to offer.
Perfect, nice shot.
We have events all year round here at McKenzie, but this has an opportunity to showcase the property on an event that the kids just love. And as we can see, we have more kids involved this year. We have more schools involved. And as a result, I think we're going to continue to see growth here and looking forward to next year as well.
Events like this one at McKenzie are so important that we can gather these large groups of students in one place and they can experience all of these wonderful recreational opportunities, that they can learn about nature, learn about our resources.
Oh, that's cool. We have an aquarium to the back of us that we have collected fish from Lake Wisconsin so that the kids can come and see fish kind of as close to their natural environment as we can get it.
You get a chance to get these kids in the outdoors, it's just a blast, and you know, that's what puts dreams in their hearts and keeps them in the outdoors instead of what's on the streets.
I really enjoy the shooting. It takes a lot of work, but it's also really fun when you get the hang of it.
Who would have thought just 20 short years ago that we'd have events like this going on in the state of Wisconsin? We'd have over 100 public school systems now offering shooting sports as part of their athletic curriculum.
To be able to stay in one spot and have the kids and the buses and the schools come to us, it shows that the interest that they have in learning more and teaching the kids about the outdoors.
We'd like to have more kids involved to take over the mission that we work so hard to achieve in wetlands and waterfowl conservation. By focusing and teaching these kids about the importance of wetlands, maybe they'll pick up the torch and carry on for those of us and for their kids down the line.
This outdoor expo is really a great opportunity for us to reach so many kids in one day.
It's been a lot of fun. The kids have been holding our attention. They're doing a lot of fun activities. They get to participating.
There's sort of an adage that says if you're not part of the solution, you're part of the problem. At Safari Club, we want to be part of the solution. We want to help bring these kids to this event, but you can help with that also. You can be part of the solution. Fund these programs, help these kids, expose them to what we know and what we love, because you're in a position to change a life forever.
One of my favorite parts of the show every year is a chance to talk with DNR Secretary Kathy Stepp, and she's joining us again this year. Kathy, there have been so many changes in the last few years that hunters have seen. We've got e-registration, a new antlerless tag program, and efforts to bring the public more into active involvement with deer management. What's your message for deer hunters this year?
Well, the biggest thing I want to portray is just a sincere thank you for all the involvement from hundreds, actually thousands of people across the state who really participated in all the different opportunities that they had to give us what is their expectations, what are the things that keep them going year after year. So I'm just so appreciative of all the different ideas that came from across the state, and that we were able to culminate so many of those into some of the changes that you just noted. It's a slow process, you know, things never happen overnight in this business, as you know. I feel really strongly that people feel heard, that their concerns are being validated, and that they're going to be a part of the solutions moving forward.
Now, you were successful in your first 3 years of deer hunting, and you came to deer hunting as an adult. So you've got some experience with the mentoring process. What's your take on our mentored hunting system?
Oh, it's a fantastic program, because for me, I was just very uncertain. Frankly, I wasn't sure if I would actually be able to pull the trigger in that moment. But I will tell you, having a mentor there who makes you feel secure about how it is that you're handling your firearm, which is important for safety, knowing what's beyond your target, etc., all those different safety things that are so important. And then to be there to share with you in that moment, if you're fortunate enough to have that, I can't describe it. There's just nothing like the hum and the buzz that comes over you. To me, one of the most precious things about hunting in general is the time to just be still and be quiet and enjoy the abundance of Wisconsin's outdoors and the amazing resources that we've got. And to be able to have that opportunity to just sit and be quiet and reflect on your life is an extraordinary gift.
Now, the fastest growing segment in the hunting population is women and girls. Yeah. And we're seeing that just really taking off here in Wisconsin.
When the women come along now on these experiences, it becomes a family tradition. So instead of the ladies sitting back home waiting for, you know, their husbands or boyfriends to get back from deer camp, it really becomes much more of a look forward to a family gathering. So again, the benefits are just even too numerous to mention in your show.
Are you hunting again this year?
Absolutely, can't keep me away. And you know, it's just, for me, it's just become something again to look forward to. We just got so much that we're gearing up for. We're excited to be talking with our public, finding out how can we continue to fine-tune our processes. The best partners we have in conservation is our hunting public, and they know what's happening under their deer stand and their back 40, wherever it is that they're participating. We need to keep hearing from all of them so that we can continue to be better and better at how we manage deer in Wisconsin.
This afternoon we got in our tree stand at about 3 o'clock, and we sat till about 5 minutes when we were about to leave. And 3 buck walked in. One was a pretty decent 8, but we didn't get a shot at that because he was walking away. Then this one was just sort of standing there staring at us. My dad pulled up the gun and he said, "Shoot whenever you're ready." So I said, "I'm ready to shoot," and I shot.
You got him! You got him!
There he is. Awesome.
1, 2, 3, 6, 7. Do I count this last one?
Well, I would have been a perfect little 8-pointer, but if you want to call him 7.5, I think that would count. Congratulations on your first deer hunt here. This is an amazing deer, and we talked all week long, all the time that you spent out there, as patient as you were, and waited opening day almost the whole entire day, and we only saw 1 deer that we could have shot at and just didn't get an opportunity, and then didn't see anything that night, and saw 2 last night, and then all that time you spent in the stand, and we kept talking about being patient, and something will happen, and something will happen good, and you sure did a great job waiting, and this guy finally showed up kind of with 1 other buck. was pretty fun to have your brother in the tree stand with too, because you've been part of his hunt and his older sister's hunt and your other older sister's hunt, and each one of you lucky enough to shoot a buck on your first deer. Brooklyn's was a little bit tinier than everybody else's, but Nolan got a pretty nice 8-pointer, and this one would have been an 8-pointer as well. He had a little bit broken off on that piece, and then your sister shot that 6-pointer, and it's just wonderful that we've got an opportunity to be out together and enjoy this time.
Before you head into the woods this season, be sure to sight in your rifle, pistol, shotgun, or muzzleloader. You can do that with help from a pro here at McMiller's Sports Center. This is a DNR-owned facility leased and operated by Wern Valley Outdoors Incorporated. In the fall, McMiller is open Tuesday through Sunday from 9 a.m. to 5 p.m. For directions, visit McMillerSportsCenter.com. Many sportsmen's clubs and shooting ranges are also open to the public, and some hold sight-in clinics prior to deer season. For a list of public ranges, visit dnr.wi.gov, keyword shooting range. Most of the information we've covered in this show is summarized in the Deer Regulations pamphlet. It's also available online at dnr.wi.gov, keyword deer. And if you still have questions, you can get them answered in English, Spanish, or Hmong 7 days a week from 7 a.m. to 10 p.m. by calling 888-WDNR-INFO or via an online chat at dnr.wi.gov/chat. I'm Dan Small. On behalf of our crew and the Wisconsin DNR, we wish you a safe and successful deer season. And be sure to join us again next year for another episode of Deer Hunt Wisconsin. For more information,
the deer management approach. How many deer you saw that day, kind of some of the same stuff. I got a bug crawling up my face and it's throwing me out of whack.